awesome. And all of a sudden, you have these problems that of rivalry. Now, we're pretty good at sorting that stuff out, but that's that Berlinery that starts to happen when too many assets are being worked at the same time in the same area. And so you have to find a way to neatly untangle yourselves without getting everybody in that room killed.
Mm-hmm. Wow, man, I lived in Berlin for 3 years. I never heard this term. But
Right?
I mean,
Yeah, it's not a common term anymore.
Pete, you speak with so much passion about your spy time. Do you miss being a spy at all?
Yeah, I mean, I miss elements of it, but also you reach like the conclusion of certain parts of your life, right? So
Yeah.
it's very exciting. It's fun to talk about. I love thinking about it, and it's neat, right? I'm so happy that I got that experience, but that's that time is over now for me, and I'm glad for it because it's very rough. The way I had to collect the things I got to do were very rough on the body, the mind, the soul, and so at some point I was missing too much life. It was one of the reasons why I stopped doing it. I could have kept working in that world, but Bruno, I didn't want to live in a world where everything was a threat all the time, and then like someone's like, oh, you're being tricked. I'm like, oh my God, am I being tricked again? Okay, all right, how about I just don't participate anymore? I want to go enjoy life. And it turns out life is pretty enjoyable, and not everything there is such thing as coincidences. I have them happen all the time, and there is no design there, right? And that's just the threat world trying to look, and they have to have that posture. But I don't subscribe to that. And I didn't when I was in. I would use my regular name. I'm Pete. I live in California. You can look me up. And here's the other thing. This will surprise you, but I even wear shirts that say spy on them, right? If someone's like, oh, are you a spy?
No,
and I
come
would say,
on. No,
yes.
you're pushing it, man.
Yes.
Why would
I'm
you
not
do
pushing
that?
it. Let me tell you why. I would say, yes, I'm here to find things out. And if I ever ask you a question you don't want to answer, don't answer it. I'm not trying to harm anybody. I'm trying to help. And if you ever see me acting differently, tell me. But you're never going to see that because I'm not here to harm anybody. And then we go, no, okay. It's like it wasn't that big of a deal, right? Because I was never acting like someone who was trying to manipulate them. I was never acting in a way that, look, all this is contrary to common thought, right? Because we don't know about spies. And not every spy works the way I work. So I would extend trust to everybody because it's my job to get to know people that no one else can know. And so when the intel shop would have this young person come up, Pete, we've got message traffic. They know who you are. And it said, by the way, first off, that person called me Pete instead of Mr. Turner, right? So already there's an affinity there, right? Pete, they want to kill you. It says, find and kill Pete. And they look at me like, oh no, what are you going to do? And I'm like, yes. That's awesome. I matter. I'm on the playing field. It's like I'm on the pitch and I'm playing soccer. And now I'm going to get past the ball because now I matter, right? My job's supposed to be dangerous. If my job isn't dangerous, I don't know enough people. That's not true for everybody in the intel world, but for me in my world, that was true. I needed to be known. And then I'm going to go find the nastiest guys I can find, and I'm going to get to know those guys, and I'm going to care about them, right? And so when they ask me, are you a spy? I'm like, yes, I'm a spy, of course. How do you think I got to meet you? I want to help you. I'm desperate to keep you alive. What do we got to do? How can we work together on something? And then they're like, you know what? I need help with. And it would be the most mundane things, the simplest things. So if I can do that, all right, let's do it. What do you want in return? Nothing. I don't want a thing in return. I just want to make sure that you know that I'm here for you. And if I need something, I'll let you know, but I don't need anything. I'm from the Army. And so I would weave myself into their lives in a way that they liked having me around. And when they talk to their friends, they'd be like, I met the best dude. He's an American. Yeah, matter of fact, let's all have dinner and invite him over. And then I would go to their houses for dinner. And they'd be like, this guy's awesome, because we'd have a great time. They'd ask me about California. I would tell them everything. So no matter where they went, they meant the same version of me because it was me. And that level of trust on my part, I have to extend that so I can meet them and not meet them as an adversary, but meet them as an advocate. And if I can do that, now I can find the levers to pull on, and the levers aren't heavy. These are light levers. And you're like, you know what? You do so much for me. You helped me understand this. You introduced me to your commander. Imagine so like when you're in the intel shop, you might have a silhouette of a person. Like it's a male silhouette. This is, Bob Stevens, right? And we want to meet Bob Stevens. We don't know who he is. He's very dangerous. And so we don't even have a picture of him. Well, I'll just get you a picture of him. I'll go meet him. I'll turn him into my friend. Who cares, right? And so that's what I would do. And all I'm like, what do you mean you met Bob Stevens? I'm like, yeah, I met Bob Stevens. Actually, not that bad of a guy. And they would say, what are you talking about? He's a horrible man. And they would tell me why he was a horrible man. I'm like, well, but also he cares for these 2,500 people. His phone never stops ringing. People are always talking to him and updating him on what's going on in his villages. He knows more about all of these villages than all of y'all combined. And so you might think he's a bad guy, but here's what he's dealing with, and here's where he needs help. And if we can help him, he wants to help us. Do you want to meet this guy, or do you want to blow him up? And they're like, well, we don't know now. Well, how valuable was I to Bob right then? Right? He was on a list to get killed, and now they're like, maybe we want to meet this guy, but they're mad about it. But they don't know enough to know enough. This is all back to that thing. Like, they're all looking for a needle in a haystack. I just fed them Bob, and I'll bring Bob onto the camp. And here's what I do when I bring Bob on the camp. Check this out. So Bob will want to come on the camp. He's a very important person. He's a family elder, right? I'll say to Bob, why don't you just come onto the camp and let me feed you for a change? And then Bob will be like, oh, am I allowed to do that? I'm like, yeah, you're my guest. You're my VIP. We call it a VIP. We call it a very important person. And you are a very important person. We know that, and we're going to treat you like that. And they'll be like, what? Are you sure? Are you serious? Yes. They're not going to search me? No, they're not going to search you. You're just going to walk on as my guest. I swear to God, they sit up straight and they're like, okay, I'd like to come to your camp. And so on the back end, I go to the Americans. And I'm not a fool. I get this all set up. But I do give the people in the chain a chance to be superstars. And so I'll go to that sergeant that runs that guard point. I'm like, I'm going to bring on this Afghan elder, and it's up to you. You don't have to do this. I'll get the commander to tell you to do it. But if you want to be a leader here, I'll work with you, and I'll do all of the work. But you tell me how you want me to handle it. Are you going to give me the call to say yes, and then I'll keep going up, and we'll get it done? Or do you want me to have someone tell you to do it? I mean, I don't care what these E5s decide, but some of them are like, you know what? All right, Pete, yeah, bring them on. We won't search them. And I'm like, and you'll get a position of attention, and you'll salute. Like, oh no, absolutely, we get what you're doing. We'll do the whole thing. Other guys are like, no, you're going to have the commander tell me to do that. And so I'd go to the commander. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm setting up. I want the commander to know I'm doing this. I want him to understand the risk of bringing this person on, because there is risk, right? But they can mitigate that risk, right? So yes, those guys are going to salute. Yes, I love it that Sergeant Jackson said he would take care of it. I love his initiative. Now I've done something good for Sergeant Jackson. And when that guy comes on, what time are you going to bring him on? Off hours. We're going to go to the dining facility, and we'll be there at 3:30 before dinner and after lunch. And then we'll be in there. I'm like, all right, I'll come by. Exactly what I want. Now the commander is just kind of traipse along. He's like, hey, Pete, what are you doing in here? Who's this you're talking to? Oh, this is Sheikh Christopher. Sheikh Christopher, meet my commander. And then that guy will be like, holy shit, I just met the boss. And the other boss is going, holy shit, I just met Bob. And so all of this goes into what I do. And look at all the people I've helped out. I helped out Sergeant Jackson at the gate. I gave him a chance to shine in front of his commander if he wanted it. I brought this person on. And let me tell you something. When you bring an Afghan onto an American camp, and I say this here, like I tell my interpreter, when I say feast your eyes, I want you to say your version of feast your eyes. But I want you to take a look at everything. I want you to see all this stuff. I want you to feel the air conditioning. I'm going to put ice cream in that person's hand, because ice cream is impossible to get in a war zone. And I'm going to blow them away. I mean, look, think about like in Germany, if I took someone to a Chris Kringle Mart, right, in December with some Glühwein, they're going to have a great time, right? There's no way to avoid that. So that's what I'm trying to do with this person, is blow their mind inside the American camp, giving them access they've never had. I don't care if they see the chow hall. I don't care if they see all of our, what are they going to do about that? Nothing. So what's going to happen is they're going to have their mind blown. They're going to take a bunch of muffins home to their kids. Their kids are going to be like, where'd you get muffins? And they're going to love it. And the next time I get a hold of that guy, he's going to be like, Pete, what do you need? How can I help you?
I do love the alien topic, right? I believe in extraterrestrials, and I watched this podcast called Weaponized. In there, so the show is presented by two people. It's Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. George Knapp has been covering the UFO topic all his life, basically, many, many years.
Yeah.
And one thing he always says is, in this field, you need to have connections. Otherwise, people will not tell you things. And the way you have connections is by being trustworthy. And the way you are trustworthy, the way people trust you is by being trustworthy. That's it. That's it. Like if you wanna build trust, be trustworthy. Period.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I get a
Yeah.
lot of that from you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when it doesn't work the first time, keep going, because you don't get to determine when they trust you. You can only act trustworthy and do trustworthy things. And at some point, they'll be like, I'm just going to have to trust this guy.
Yeah.
Because I have to do the same to them. I have a trust bank. I have a credit of trust that I have to extend, because I'm in their world. I have to extend something to them. They've got to account for my presence, right? So I have to give them a lot of allowance. And so I was working with trying to understand the Ministry of Education, right? And so we would go to the Ministry of Education's office, and I would say, what I don't want to do is cause you trouble. How do we meet so that your profile is not increased and made worse by us? And then he said, don't come to my office with a platoon full of guys. Let me come to your camp. And I'm like, okay, if you come to our camp, we're going to act like you belong there and that you're a VIP every time you come in. So you'll know that we are trusting you. And he's like, you don't have to do that. And I'm like, we're going to do it. And so we did. Every time he came on, it was like, bam, that's the Minister of Education. Holy shit, I can't believe he's here. Right. And when we acted like he was important, guess what? He felt important. And we didn't have to do it. He's right. But we were going to do it because I wanted him to understand that we respected him. And we, as Americans, need to respect those guys more, because it is his job to improve education. And if the Minister of Education for, I don't know, the state of Bremen or wherever it's going to be, right? If what's it called? I used to live in Germany, trying to remember my states. Essen. They'll come in Essen. All right. So if the Minister of Education for Essen is going to show up somewhere, well, you have to act like he's an important dude. The same level of government as the guy that I'm dealing with, right? And so this guy oversees all education for Frankfurt and Hanau and all these other places. So the guy I'm talking to is important, and we bring him on, and he holds a meeting, and then he's like, I'd like to bring some guys on the camp. These are very important people. Okay, great. Do we need to treat them with like the same kind of VIP thing, or no? You tell me. And they're like, no. Let's treat these guys important. And so this is all done gently, delicately over time. Now, this is not 2 meetings, right? This is months of work to get to this point where we can do this. But we were able to work faster in the end than in the beginning. So we bring the Minister of Education on. And he brings a couple of family elders. And most importantly, they bring a holy man. And so it's this holy man, these 2 family elders, and the Minister of Education. And he's talking to me and my partner. And he's like, look, here's what we want to do with education. We're desperate for your help. Here's where we need your help. Here's where we don't need your help. And so we write all this stuff down, and we give it to the Americans. When we do this, one of the things they say to us is, never, under any circumstances, bring books to me or to kids. That is not your job. That is my job. I do that. You put me in a bad spot when you do that. And it's dangerous for you. It's dangerous for me. Don't ever, ever, ever bring books to kids. As he's saying this, these family elders are going, yeah, don't ever bring books to kids. We don't like that. Right? The holy man, same thing. He's like, it is impossible. You cannot do this. Well, pretty clear message, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we write that up. Give it to everybody on the American side in this state that we were in. Here's the rules. They want our help. Here's how they want our help. All within our purview, all super awesome for us. All we have to do is work that part of the problem. About a year later, a bunch of Americans got blown up, some of them killed. You know what they were doing?
Gotcha.
Taking books to kids.
God damn it. Oh my God. How did you feel about it? How did you feel about it?
I feel horrible about it. And here's the thing is our Secretary of State at the time happened to know one of the people that got blown up because she was in the Department of State. And he gave her eulogy because he happened to meet her right before she died. And he talked about how and he was talking about the Taliban, how when people who don't allow other people to do things and they want to harm them and do things bad to them, how they'll shame on them. And I'm like, oh my God, you just described us, you buffoon. We shouldn't have been talking to those kids. They were desperate to educate their kids. They wanted to manage it themselves, and they have a Minister of Education. John Kerry said something. It's like, yeah, shoot people in the face. That's us, dummy. We put ourselves in a position where we're dominating what they're allowed to do and how they're supposed to raise their kids. And you think that they like that? after they told us specifically, months and months and months of work, Bruno, went into this whole thing to earn the right to be able to give this message back to the Americans. And it lasted 5 minutes, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It didn't last a year. So, so that's the spy game, man. It is heartbreaking when stuff like that happens, and I've got 100 stories like that. But that's the reality is I'm trying desperately to get us to be better at what we're trying to do. That's the main thing I'm trying to do. And if the locals will let me, I will be able to communicate their message about need and danger and everything else back. But it takes a lot of work to do that. And that may not seem like spying, but look at that tightrope I had to walk to get to that point where I was allowed to carry that message back to the Americans, and the Americans pissed on it.
Pete, and there's a lot to unpack there. But I want to ask you something else. So because you were part of this shadowy world, right? At least for us outside of the spy world, it feels shadowy, right? It's something that we're not in touch with every day. I need to ask you, what's your opinion on the whole Charlie Kirk assassination thing? Do you think it was an inside job? Because apparently a new facts came out not long ago, 5 days ago. Apparently the shot was hit him from the back. So this sparked a whole new